This workshop today is facilitated by Kemble H. This study relies on you listening, but please, we pray that you have your big book in hand and follow along. The pen, pencil, or highlighter, make any notes and pause if you have to. Also, write down any questions and we will take them at the end of the meeting. We will keep everybody muted during the workshop except for the facilitators. Any inappropriate behavior will not be tolerated and you will be removed by one of the co-hosts. This meeting is being recorded. The audio portion only was being recorded and only of the facilitators. The recording will be stopped at the end of the workshop to take any questions in order to preserve your anonymity. So have a fab and great meeting, everybody. And how we start here is with the step 3 prayer found on page 63. If you care to join me. God, I offer myself to thee, to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always. Over to you, Kemble. Thank you.
Thanks, brother. Okay, thank you, Brother Dan. My great co-host, and happy Sunday, everybody, and welcome to Keystone Sunday International Big Book Workshop. My name is Kemble, and I'm a recovered alcoholic. In this meeting, we go through the program of alcoholics. The program and the fellowship are a little bit different. See, the program is found in the first portion of our big book. But the fellowship, I was in the fellowship for over 3 decades. We got a watered down message. Never got the message from the book, so I kept on drinking and drinking and drinking. But thank God for the Keystone Group 4 years ago, they introduced me to the program and not just the fellowship, and it commenced to solve my alcoholic problem. I have recovered from alcoholism. I no longer suffer from alcoholism. And I hear people in these meetings, we always recovering the rest of our lives. No. The first hope and promise in this book is found on the title page, where it reads, Alcoholics Anonymous, the story of how many thousands of men and women have recovered from alcoholism. You hear a lot of people want to argue, well, we recover from a seamless, hopeless state of mind and body. Well, the first hope and first promise is we recover from alcoholism. Alcoholism is above our pay grade. But first we have to determine if we are truly alcoholic. What sets us apart is we alcoholics, we develop an allergy of the body, which causes a phenomenon of craving. Once that phenomenon of craving kicks in, we can't shut it off. Drink more and more. The more I drank, the thirstier I got in my drinking career. I don't know about that, but shoot, I'm taking this drink, I'm already thinking about the next one. Then the amounts became bigger and bigger. Now, we're doing Bill's story. This will be the last part of Bill's story we're going to do today. From Bill's story, we see what we were like, what happened, and what we are like now. So far, we've seen Bill when he first started drinking at 22, alcoholism progressed, and we can see the progression. Several trips in and out of Towns Hospital, the treatment center for alcoholics and drug addicts. Dr. Silkworth was the kind doctor who explained the grave nature of alcoholism to Bill. So while Bill was in the hospital, he incorporated some ideas and conceptions of how what an alcoholic needed in order to recover. So years ago, before Bill Wilson come up with these ideas and then come up with this program, and he produced the book, and the book was produced in 1939. Many alcoholics who had no hope before then, we got hope. And it's still working today, all these many years later. And it's a blessing. So we're going to start today on page 10 in Bill's story. Matter of fact, it's going to be in the middle of the page here. And we're going to roll on through Bill's story today, and it's going to be very interesting. I'd like to share on what I experienced, what I went through, and what I had to do in order to recover from alcoholism. So, Brother Dan, if you will, you can read that paragraph in the middle of the page where it says, I had always believed in a power greater than myself. And then
we'll sure. Carry on through.
We'll drive on after that. Yeah,
cool. Middle of page 10, everybody. I had
Okay.
always believed in a power greater than myself. I had often pondered these things. I was not an atheist. Few people really are, for that means blind faith is the strange proposition that the universe originated in a kipia and aimlessly rushes nowhere. My intellectual heroes, the chemists, the astronomers, even the evolutionists, suggested vast laws and forces at work. Despite the contrary indications, I had little doubt that a mighty purpose and rhythm underlay all. How could there be so much of precise and immutable law and no intelligence? I simply had to believe in a spirit of the universe who knew neither time nor limitation. But that was as far as I had gone.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, brother. Great start. Here be had always believed in a power greater than himself, right? We alcoholics, we suffer from lack of power. That was our dilemma. We alcoholics, we run our self-will, egocentric, self-centered, all that good stuff. But we don't have the power to stop our own selves from drinking when we turn into a real alcoholic. We may start off as moderate drinkers, and then we may advance to heavy drinkers. We can stop and moderate then. We can quit once we cross the line. And on page 21 describes the real alcoholic. When we become a real alcoholic, then we beyond human aid. We simply gonna keep on drinking. So this part of the book, this covers step one. As I shared before, like I always have to share, on page 43. So Bill's story is part of step one. What's the promise of step one? Relapse. If we don't have the power to stop ourselves from drinking, we're gonna drink again. Man, I told myself many years, shoot, I can stop when I get ready. I ain't got to start. I quit today. Shoot, for the day over. Here my buddy has got a bottle turning up and putting it down my throat. The allergy kick in, that phenomenon of craving kick in, and I'm drunk before you know it. No power. So we need to find a power that's greater than ourselves. We can't be our own power when we become real alcoholic. It don't work. So, and that's the promise of step one. What's the solution for step one? We may ask. Well, step two. Step two starts by claiming to believe in a power greater than ourselves, which could restore us to sanity, right? And it's confirmed in step 12 if we take all the rest of the steps in between. Having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Very important stuff. Confirmation. So here, Bill, when he's thinking about this power, he believes in this power that was greater than himself. He now can build a foundation, which is rooted in step two, because he believed. We start to believe. If we can start to believe in something, we can commence to have faith that this power greater than me can solve my alcoholic problem, and it can solve all other problems in our world. So with Bill said he had often pondered these things, for he was not an atheist. So few people really are. But that means blind faith in a strange proposition that the universe originated in a cipher and aimlessly rushes nowhere. That would be some blind faith. Because, we can look at ourselves. Look, we alive, we breathing, we talking. We see, hear, we get all these things. Life came from somewhere, right? That means something had power that was greater than me to create this life. Now for the atheists, they got what we call blind faith. But atheists can recover from alcoholism too, but practicing the principles and taking the steps that this program has to offer, whatever atheists want to believe, whether it be electricity or something that we can't see, a telephone line, the telephone waves or whatever, that's their belief. When we become real alcoholics of my type, though, I have to believe in something that's alive, something that's real. So, page 49. Hey, I want to scroll over page 49. Let me share something with y'all here. Page 49, down here at the very last paragraph. I want to roll through this. So, it says, we, who have traveled this dubious path, beg of you to lay aside prejudice even against organized religion. We have learned that whatever frailties of various faiths may be, those faiths have given purpose and direction to millions. People of faith have a logic, an idea of what life is all about, no doubt. Actually, we used to have no reasonable conception whatsoever, whatever. This talking about the atheists right here, right? We used to amuse ourselves by cynically dissecting spiritual beliefs and practices when we might have observed that many spiritually minded persons of all races, colors, and creeds were demonstrating a degree of stability, happiness, and usefulness, which we should have sought for ourselves. You know, I just mentioned faith a while ago. When we start to believe in something, we develop faith. So when it comes to the alcoholic, we develop faith in a power greater than ourselves, which I call God, right? So whatever your conception of God is, that's your belief. Mine is the true God. He created everything. And his faith leads to action. I mean, to take the steps. I studied this program. When I was being 12-step to it, I could sense to believe what this program was offering to me, and I could accept it. Then I can move on forward, right? So then, back to the paragraph on page 10. He said, I simply had to believe in the spirit of the universe, who knew neither time nor limitation. But that was as far as he had gone. See, Bill, right now he's having a closed mind about what religion taught, right? But this is not a religious program. It is spiritual. See, the spiritual program of action, that's a solution for us real alcoholic. We developed something here on page 5, 6, or 7, right? Where it talks about spiritual experience and spiritual awakening. It commences, we take this course of action, follow the precise directions, and we recover from alcoholism. I read that probably at the end of the meeting. Boy, I have so much fun in these meetings. I tell you, we have some wild people popping in and out, but it's all good. I'm going to have to try to help them with the spirit of the universe. Might help them out just a little bit. So anyway, so that was as far as Bill had gone, right? So the very last sentence, very last couple of sentences at the bottom of page 10, it says, but ministers and the world's religions are parted right there. Bill, see, stop right there. See, y'all know this Oxford group is a religious group, right? So Bill wouldn't accept the tenets of the Oxford group. So then he goes on to relate. When they talked of a God personal to me, who was love, superhuman strength, and direction, I became irritated, and my mind shut against such a theory. No, he still didn't want to hear it. He was still being closed-minded. We know one of the key components of recovery is open-minded, honesty, and willingness. So we open up our minds to something greater. Well, because when I had a closed mind, my closed mind kept me drunk. I told you, I used to have that tunnel vision, right? I barely could see what was in front of me, much less being open-minded to something here or something there. No, my vision was strictly on another drink, another drug, or whatever I get my hands on. That blocked everything else out. But anyway, we're going top of page 13. A lot of people hate this word. I'm finished mentioning this reading here. Top of page 13 reads, to Christ I conceded the certainty of a great man, not too closely followed by those who claimed him. His moral teaching most excellent. For myself, I had adopted those parts which seemed convenient and not too difficult. The rest I disregarded. Here, Bill truly has never really believed at this point. Now, whether he became to be a true believer in Christ, I hadn't really found that information, but he believed in something because he recovered and he stayed sober to the day he died. So he had got a strong conviction, and it made him write this book, no doubt about it. But see, at the start with complete defeat. You know, and his friend gonna explain to him here pretty shortly what he did and what worked for him. So goes on back. I'm gonna skip a paragraph, and bro Dan, I want you to read, sir. But my friend sat before me and made the point blank declaration. And we can stop at the end of that paragraph.
My schoolmate visited me, page 13.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but my
Yeah,
friend
cool.
sat before me.
I'll just read that paragraph.
Yeah, where it says,
Yeah,
but
cool.
my friend sat before me. Yeah.
Sure. It's the middle paragraph, guys, on page 13. My schoolmate visited me. I fully acquainted him with my problems and deficiencies.
We went too far on that one. Back it up to 11, page 11. In the
That's probably why.
middle of the page. But my friend sat before me.
My friend, even on page 11, guys,
Yeah,
actually.
there we go. We'll be on 13 in a minute.
Yeah. But my friend sat before me, and he made the point blank declaration that God had done for him what he could not do for himself. His human will had failed. Doctors had pronounced him incurable. Society was about to lock him up. Like myself, he had admitted complete defeat. Then he had, in effect, been raised from the dead, suddenly taken from the scrap heap to a level of life better than the best he had ever known.
Okay, right there, brother. Appreciate it. No doubt about it.
Now on page
Here's
13.
yeah. Here's a situation that's popped up. Because he says, but my friend sat before me and he made the point blank declaration that God had done for him what he could not do for himself. So Ebby came to relay to Bill that God did for him what he couldn't do for himself. Ebby couldn't stop his own self from drinking either. So Ebby and Bill both had to admit complete defeat. So this would be the step one. Like Bill, Ebby had taken step one and admitted he was powerless. That's what step one is. We don't have power over alcoholism. It's above our pay grade. We have to have help with this stuff. But Ebby did have a spiritual awakening and solved this problem. But Ebby didn't keep enhancing and enlarge his spiritual life, and he eventually drank again. So for the real alcoholic, once we go through this process, we have a spiritual way of living rooted in step 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. There's that word power again. See, lack of power, that's our dilemma. We got to find a power greater than ourselves. And that power will solve our problem, page 45. No doubt. So as human will had failed, I can relate to my experience. Shoot, I was beyond human aid, man. Couldn't no human being in the world help me. No wife, no girlfriend, no money, no TV, no stereo, no nothing. The psych wards couldn't solve my problem. Doctors couldn't solve it. Psychiatrists couldn't solve it. I was beyond human aid. My human will had failed. I used to try to will myself that I can quit drinking and stay forever. No, willpower was never enough. My human will ain't nothing. I had to have something greater than my butt. So here, back to the paragraph on page 11. It says, like myself, he had admitted complete defeat. Then he had, in effect, been raised from the dead, suddenly taken from a scrap heap to a level of life better than the best he had ever known. How true this is. Here, Bill is looking at finna have a different experience, right? He's been suffering from this alcoholism. So he become to explain to him. He had this experience and it gave him the best life he had ever known. So Bill gonna see this experience coming up at him, sitting right there across the kitchen table from him. So then Bill asks a question back to page 11. Had this power originated in him? Obviously, it had not. There had been no more power in him than there was in me at that minute, and this was none at all. Ebby didn't create this power, this change within him. He already said God had done for him what he could not do for himself. See, we alcoholics, we can't create this kind of a change. Yeah, I tried for 40 years trying to create a change in me because I thought I had all the power. I thought I could solve my problem myself. I didn't think I needed nobody to help me through this process. But the lie detector determined that was a lie. Every time I tried to fix my own problem, it made it worse because a sick mind can't fix a sick mind. See, the problem with the alcoholic is sinners in his mind rather than in his body. Then we put it in our body and we suffer from this allergy. We can't stop. We can't shut it off. Something beyond our human brains can't comprehend this allergy, and we can't shut it off. I tried so many times, and every time I shut it off, it made me drink more. So there's no turning back when we cross this point. The book makes a beautiful point, said once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. So true. We recover from alcoholism, but if we ever make a mistake and think we can go years without it and then go back to take a drink, we're going to go back to where we started from. That allergy kicks in, and then we're going back on that vicious cycle again. But we got a spiritual program of action. We got a daily reprieve today, contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. And what does that mean? It's a stay of execution from another drink. Step 11, we talk to God all through the day, all through the night. It keeps us grounded, keeps us sober. We help other people. And our message must have depth, and weight. Nothing more beautiful than one alcoholic helping another, because it gives us some solid ground to stand on. See, the book says every day is a day when we must carry the vision of God's will into all our activities. And that means not only for the alcoholic, but it means for other people as well. Our main purpose today is to be a maximum benefit to God and to others. So I don't single out just an alcoholic. If I can help somebody, I'm going to help them. Bottom line, I go out of my way for people, but I don't mind. That's what I do. That's what I'm supposed to do. Not like it was in my drinking career, right? It was all about me, self. Should I push the tree down to get me a drink? If the tree was in my way, I was going to try to push it down and get to me another drink. Shoot, self. But anyway, back to page 11. Last paragraph here. When Bill got this message, he said, that floored me. It began to look as though religious people were right after all. See, a lot of people in AA, they'll throw it up in your face all the time. This is not a religious program. Well, I'm not preaching religion, but the book does suggest us to be quick to see where religious people are right. They are grounded in principles that's important to this book. Life principles. It's not about being in a religion. When I was in religion preaching, I got drunk every time I got through preaching to people. I preached in churches, hospitals, nursing homes, door to door. I get through that day at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, I'm going straight and get my bottle when I walk in my door. I reach on the cabinet and get my bottle, and I'm drunk again. See, my religion didn't solve my problem. I ain't have a relationship. You see, the purpose of this book is to enable us to find a power greater than ourselves, which will solve our problem. That means this book is going to show us precisely how we can gain a relationship with God, or the power you choose to call that's greater than yourself. And it solves our problems, no doubt. I have problems every day, right? Rely on God 24/7. Boom. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm struggling with alcoholism, because I ain't struggled with alcoholism in over 4 years. We have a human condition, right? That's where prayer and meditation comes in at. Boom, solves all our problems. So back to the page 11, bottom paragraph. Here was something that worked in a human heart, which had done the impossible. Here, Bill sees a shift. He's beginning to feel this shift. Because he see what Ebby, he's seeing Ebby's experience right in his very face. So then Bill goes on to relate. My ideas about miracles were drastically revised right then. Never mind the mustard pass. Here sat a miracle directly across the kitchen table. He shouted great tidings. It's a miracle. Now, when you see another alcoholic as bad, especially bad as Ebby and Bill was, when they was running together, Ebby had been gone. Bill thought he was locked up, because they was finna put him away for a very long time. But then the Oxford group rescued him. Oxford group was a religious group. But then Ebby come back less than 2 months later to present these ideas that he got from that group to present to Bill. So actually, he's going to be going through a couple of steps right here. Step 1, he already took step 1. Step 2, he said he came to believe. Now we're going to get to step 3 here in just the next page or two. We'll get to step 3. So then the big book on page 133, It goes on to relate, we are sure God wants us to be happy, joyous, and free. And we who have recovered from serious drinking are miracles of mental health. So Bill is seeing this miracle sit right across from him, his old drinking buddy. That's something to see. When you see, in my case, 40-something years of me drinking, and people that, other people can see a change in you before you can even see it in yourself. And I didn't create this change of my own. No, if it was up to me, and I run on my power, wouldn't no change had ever occurred. I had to let God take over me. Self was my problem. I think self is a little bit of all our problem. So self need to be shifted out of the way. And we learn that when we get to step 3, right? We're gonna learn that when we get to step 3, page 63, as a matter of fact. So, but then back to the bottom of page 11, we're gonna flip to top of page 12. It says, I saw that my friend was much more than inwardly reorganized. He was on a different footing. His roots grasped a new soil. Bill seeing his psychic change within his friend Ebby sitting right there. Bill sitting there at that kitchen table drinking, experiencing step 1, step 2. You see, our thinking is our problem. See, we alcoholics, we come up with some great ideas, right? But it makes us drink again without going through this process. Now, this is not the only way in the world to get sober, right? But for a real alcoholic, this is what rooted me in sobriety, being taken through this thing. It's all the years I spent in the fellowship. No, I didn't get this message, man. I was getting a message, just go drink some more, hearing war stories and all this old stuff. No, I leave out the meeting, I'm drunk before I get home. No, I don't have to do that today. Thank God for this program. But the message must have depth and weight to it in order for anything to be done. Bill seeing how Ebby has changed within them 2 months. He had that glow in his eyes. He had a conviction to bring to him and present it to his friend. And of course, Bill said he would have it if he could. So here he's presenting it to him. So here we go. On top of page 12. And it reads, despite the living example of my friend that remained in me, the vestiges of my old prejudice. Okay, see, Bill sitting here at the table drinking, right? Now, what I just shared on page 49 just a minute ago, we got to lay aside prejudice against any spiritual conceptions or any spiritual principles. The prejudice must be laid aside. But here, Bill focusing on self, right? Self gonna pop up. There's no doubt about it. It's gonna pop up. But then back to the read paragraph. It said the word God still aroused a certain antipathy. When the thought was expressed that there might be a God personal to me, this feeling was intensified. Bill says, I didn't like the idea. I could go for such conceptions as creative intelligence, universal mind, or spirit of nature. So he could go for that idea, but the word God, well, he didn't want to go for that idea at first. No. So he said he resisted the thought of a czar of the heavens, however loving his sway may be. I have since talked with scores of men who felt the same way. Yeah, a lot of us, we resist God. See, us alcoholics, we play God. So we ain't looking for no God to solve our problem. No. But we think we God. I know I did. I don't know about y'all. I always thought I was God when I give me a couple of drinks in my belt. Shoot, I thought I was inconvincible. What is it? Didn't think I could be took down. But you know what? That alcohol took me down through that, floored my butt. It kept me flat on my darn back. In another hospital, another psych ward, another treatment center, another detox center. Thought I was a little crazy. Well, I was insane. But thank God for this program. Sanity has been returned. So back to the paragraph, back to the reading. Page 12. Now Bill's getting a beautiful idea right here. Because Ebby told him, he says, my friend suggested what then seemed a novel idea. He said, why don't you choose your own conception of God Now that kind of woke Bill up a little bit. Your own conception? Okay. Well, you don't have to, each person has their own conception of God. I know mine is with the true God of the universe, one who created the heavens, and he created my butt, and he sustains my butt by his power. But you know, you can call it whatever you want. I'm just sharing with you my personal experience. And I don't knock nobody for what they believe in. It's not my job. But whatever God you believe in, if it gets you sober and it keeps you sober, God bless. I love it. And I help you any way I can. We don't talk about beliefs in Alcoholics Anonymous because it's not religion. It's spiritual. My message has to be spiritual because that's a solution. Spiritual solution. Ain't no other solution in the world gonna work. My solution didn't work. Their solution didn't work, but the solution found in this book. See, this book presents us a recipe. It gives us precise directions, man, on how we recover from this thing. So, but this is pretty cool right here. I love this. It said, why don't you choose your own conception of God? Once again, step 2, came to believe. That's your conception of God. Well, what do you want to believe in? A power greater than myself. That's your conception of God, whoever your God is. I don't care if he's Buddha, Allah, Confucius, or Hindu, whatever it may be, it don't matter. I just know who mine is. And this is my Lord and Savior. He saved my life from alcoholism. He saved my life a whole lot of other ways. But that's good. So here we go. Step 2. Bill finna talk. We finna do step 2 with Bill in his story, right? And this is in italics, Brother Dan. Share them italics with me where it was on the matter of being willing. Oh, I get it.
No, that's cool.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah, my friend. Just the italics?
Come down just a little bit where it said it was only a matter.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Middle of page 12, everybody. My friend suggested what then seemed a novel idea. He said, why don't you choose your own conception of God? That statement hit me hard. It melted the icy intellectual mountain in whose shadow I had lived and shivered many years. I stood in the sunlight at last.
Oh, yes, no doubt. Now, it was only a matter of being willing to believe in a power greater than myself. Nothing more was required of me to make my beginning. I saw that growth could start from that point. Upon a foundation of complete willingness, I might build what I saw in my friend. Would I have it? Of course I would. Now I'm back up just like what my friend suggested. What seemed a novel idea? Why don't you choose your own conception of God? Now check this out. This is the spiritual message rather than the religious message. This is the root of step 3, as we understood him. This is the great turning point. It is not important to me. It is important to note that this was not the Oxford group message. They had a very definite idea of a Christian God that they preached about. Here is choosing the God of your own conception. Spiritual beginning. So here, Bill, you see yourself taking step 2. It's only a matter of being willing to believe. When you become willing, then you can take action, right? So Bill said, of course he would. And Bill is going to be building a spiritual structure here as we go along here. We can go to page 13 in just a minute and go through some of the steps that Bill's going to describe in his book. So it goes on to relate. Thus, I was convinced that God is concerned with us humans when we want him enough. At long last, I saw, I felt, I believed. Okay, step 2, he believed. Scales of pride and prejudice fell from my eyes. A new world came into view. This is the Seekers to Alcoholics Anonymous. Wow. There had been a humble wish to have him with me. He came. He came. Now, I want to fast forward to the top of page 13. Here's Bill's 3rd time in treatment, right? At the hospital, I was separated from alcohol for the last time. Last time in treatment. Treatment seemed wise, for I showed signs of delirium tremens. Delirium tremens. DTs, in other words. This Bill's sobriety date, December 11th, 1934. Now, here's what Bill is going to share with us. He says, there, I humbly offered myself to God. As I understood him. This would be step 3. There I humbly offered myself to God as I then understood him to do with me as he would. I placed myself unreservedly under his care and direction. I admitted for the first time that of myself I was nothing, and without him I was lost. So true. I ruthlessly faced my sins and became willing to have my newfound friend take them away root and branch. I have not had a drink since. Step 4. He had a written inventory. He became willing to have a newfound friend take them away root and branch. All our character defects and all this good stuff. Let me share this with you. When we do our 4-step inventories and then we do our 5th step, when we talk to God and another human being, God is not going to remove all our character defects, but I'm going to tell you what he'll do for you. He'll remove the ones that's blocking us off from a relationship with him, and he'll replace them with something better. Every time he's going to replace it with something more better. I can reflect back on my character defect and how screwed up I was. Believe me, I was a screwed up individual for many years. But he took away what was blocking me off, and he incorporated the principles of this program and a relationship with God. This is what this program did for me. It showed me how to gain a connection with God. And I can't wait to get to that part of the book because I love that book. That part of the book is found in the chapter We Agnostics. So we'll get there soon. So now here's a step 5. He says on page 13, my schoolmate visited me and I fully acquainted him with with my problems and deficiencies. We made a list of people I had hurt or toward whom I felt resentment. I expressed my entire willingness to approach those individuals admitting my wrong. Never was I to be critical of them. I was to write all such matters to the utmost of my ability. That would be step 9, right? Step 5 is he acquainted his problems with God and another human being. Step 8, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and who we might have felt resentment toward. So he talks about he expressed his willingness to approach these individuals admitting my wrong. This is a means process. Yes, we approach these individuals. We simply go there and we right our wrong. We never look at what they did because it's going to tell us right here in this paragraph, never was I to be critical of them. I was to write all such matters to the utmost of my ability. But here's the thing, step 11 right here. Still on page 13, right? Next to the last paragraph. It says, I was to test my thinking by the new God consciousness within. Well, the big book tells us on page 55 where the power is to be found. It's deep within ourselves, right? So now, step 11, once again, I stress step 11 constantly because it's got a 2-hour clock that we alcoholics can live by. We got on awakening, we got as we go through the day, and then we retire at night. Living in step 11. We living in step 11 and we working the previous 10, and then plus we doing step 12. We help other people. We carry this message, not some kind of my message. It's not my message. I learned the message from these people. 100 alcoholics agreed to this book when they produced it. When you find 100 alcoholics can agree to something, you better jump on it, son, because there's got to be something to it. That's power. There's a lot of power. So back to the paragraph. Common sense will thus become uncommon sense. I was to sit quietly when in doubt. That was step 11. As we go through the day, we pause when agitated or doubtful. I was to sit quietly when in doubt, asking only for direction and strength to meet my problems as he would have me. Meet my problems. If I got a problem with my thinking, ask God to direct my thinking. And he's going to show up. I know he shows up. God, look, I'm struggling. Please help me. My thinking is twisted today. Shoot, I might want to go do something crazy. God help me, please. So I had to sit there and pause for a minute, meditate on it, and that thought, it's going to go away. It's only a thought. Just like if the thought to drink ever pop up, it's only a thought. Thoughts going to pop up, but we got a solution. It says, never was I to pray for myself, except as my request bore on my usefulness to others. Always pray for others first. That's a daily practice of mine. I pray for other people. And then later on today, I pray something for myself. But if I have a problem, I'm gonna have to go pray then. God help me solve this problem that I'm facing. But I promise you this, alcohol ain't the problem. I don't think I have to worry about that. So then it goes on to say, then only might I expect to receive, but that would be in great measure. Okay, now, I'm glad I still got some time. Bottom of page 13, I want to show you something. Matter of fact, it starts off and it says, my friend promised when these things were done, I would enter upon a new relationship with my creator, that I would have the living which answered all my problems. Spiritual awakening. Solution for a real alcoholic like me. A lot of us want our problem solved first, right? But the drink problem, once the drink problem is removed, all these other problems will get removed. No doubt. Bottom sentence, belief in the power of God, plus enough willingness, honesty, and humility to establish and maintain a new order of things were the essential requirements. We work at it, but we had a proper attitude, and we work at this thing. It works. It really does. That's page 88 to tell us that. One of the shortest paragraph in the book, as a matter of fact. My sponsor used to use this a lot. It works. It really does. And it does, man. I mean, but then, another requirement, right? Top of page 14. It says simple, but not easy. A price had to be paid. Look, step 10 and step 11, right? It meant destruction of self-centeredness. I must turn in all things to the Father of light who presides over us all. Focus on God. See, we alcoholics, we like the actors. We want to run the whole show. We want to run the lights, the cameras, the action, everything. And this is rooted in the Bible, James chapter 1. It explains this about the Father of light who presides over all. I do read my Bible. I study my Bible. This is AA. But it's based on spiritual principles. All these principles came from that book, the bigger book. I call it my bigger book. This is an epistle. My sponsor say, this big book is an epistle for the alcoholic. So just like the Bible is an epistle for us real Christians. No doubt. Now, back to page 14. These were revolutionary and drastic proposals, but the moment I fully accepted them, the effect was electric. Wow, I think Bill about to have this experience, right? Gonna have this white light experience. I know all of us in the ABC done heard about Bill's white light experience, right? And here it is. There was a sense of victory followed by such a peace and serenity as I had ever known. There was utter confidence. I felt lifted up as though the great clean wind of a mountaintop blew through and through. God comes to most men gradually, but his impact on me was sudden and profound. Page 5, 6, and 7 of the spiritual experience. Was this spiritual experience? It wasn't in the first edition, but they added it on here. So it goes on to read, the term spiritual experience and spiritual awakening are used many times in this book. It shows that the personality change sufficient to bring about recovery from alcoholism has manifested itself in many different forms. This is what Bill Wilson had. He has had a sudden transformation by a spiritual experience. Now, we all ain't gonna see no white light. I didn't see no white light, but I know the thought, the desire to drink, it left in the sense of overnight, of praying to God. asking God to help me. I'm tired of living this way. And he answered. He showed up and showed out. I have not had a drink since. As I shared with the group, February 3rd, it'll be 4 years. So, bro, it's been the best life I could ever live. Thank God for this program and a relationship with the power greater than myself, who I call God. Just like the big book said on page 45. And here we're going to talk about God. Now, these ideas that's in the book. So this is not pushing no religion. This idea is expressed in this big book. Bill gives us a recipe for success for a real alcoholic of my type. So here it is. Back to page 14. It says, for a moment I was alarmed and I called my friend, the doctor, and asked if I was still sane. He listened and wondered as I talked. See, Bill explained this peace and serenity that he had, this profound sudden effect on him. He was utterly amazed. Can you imagine calling the doctor? Am I still sane or did I just go crazy? No, Clown, you just look like you had a spiritual experience. Yeah, your problem has been removed. You're a new man now. And it works. It's definite. I can remember my experience now. I remember feeling this piece of ease and confidence, serenity and peace. See, today, this program is in connecting with God has gave me the peace of God. And it just motivates me every day. So that's why I love doing what I do. It's his will for me. So I love to help people. That's just the bottom line. So, finally, he shook his head saying, something has happened to you and I don't understand, but you had better hang on to it. Here the doctor sees Bill and had this great experience, right? So Bill's a different person, just like that. Suddenly, wow, ain't that a miracle? It's amazing. Wow. But here Bill is, his step 12 action right here. Still on page 14. But Bill goes on to relate, while I lay in the hospital, the thought came that there were thousands of hopeless alcoholics who might be glad to have what is so freely given, what has been so freely given me. Perhaps I could help some of them. They in turn might work with others. Step 12, no doubt, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps. Carry this message, not just any message, but carry the message from the book. The message from the book is pretty simple. 12 steps carries the message from the title page all the way through. Recovery program found in the first portion of this big book. So Bill, one more thing I'm going to share with this, well, a couple more things. Bottom of page 14. He says, my friend emphasize now, the absolute necessity of demonstrating these principles in all my affairs. All of our affairs, right? Not just when you're in a meeting, but demonstrate these spiritual principles in all areas of our life, at home, or when we go out the door, we go to the mall, we go shopping, we go to a game, casinos, where we might go. Practice these principles, live bound. That's what has helped me so much. When we become God conscious, he is the focus, and everything else will fall in place. There's no doubt about it. So it goes on to say, particularly was it imperative to work with others that he had worked with me. Faith without works was dead. And how imperative true for the alcoholic. Failed to perfect and enlarge his spiritual life through work and self-sacrifice for others, he could not survive the certain trials and low spots ahead. If he did not work, he would surely drink again. And if he drank, he would surely die. Then faith would be dead indeed. With us, it is just like that. It mentions with us, well, like I say again, these first 100 men and women,